What is going on, everybody? My name is David Hanson, and welcome to my live chat. We are here today, February 20th, 2021, and we are here to talk about UFC Fight Night, Blaydes versus Lewis. Now, the fights just got over about 30 minutes ago, and we have a lot to talk about. We had a great night of fights. We had, let's see, we started out with 15 fights on the card, and it ended up being 12 fights with fights pulling out. We actually had a fight stopped, or sorry, not a fight stopped, but we had Chaz Skelly versus Jamal Emmers. Skelly actually walked out to the octagon, and Emmers had to withdraw from the fight before making his walk because of back spasms. And so we had 12 fights on the card. We also had Luis Pena fighting, but had to withdraw last minute because of COVID protocol. And so we ended up with 12 fights, and we had a lot of, the preliminary card started off with a bang. We had 6 fights on the preliminary card, and 5 of them ended in stoppage. The first 5 fights of the night it started off good. I didn't think the judges were going to need to be involved at all. And so let's get into it. So some first notes, get out of the way. Go ahead and like the video if you wish. Give it a thumbs up if you want to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And that will give you all the content that I will be putting out. Let's get into it. How's it going, everybody? Everybody that has joined here. How's everybody's night going? All right. Let's get into it. So we'll go ahead and just start at the bottom of the card. We'll go ahead and start at the bottom of the card from the first night. Like I said, the preliminary card was great. It started off with a bang. Like I said, 6 fights on the preliminary card. 5 of them ended by stoppage. And we are going to get into that right now. So we had Sergey Spivak defeating Jared Vieira by TKO, 4 minutes and 32 seconds of round number 2. Now, this fight was it was kind of one-sided for the majority of the fight, as long as it lasted. Sergey Spivak was very dominant. He came in, looking for the takedown, looking to do ground and pound, looking to get a submission where he could. Very one-sided, dominant performance for Spivak. And with a TKO win, it was kind of going back and forth until the takedown happened. Once Spivak got the takedown, he put Vieira right into his world. It was very interesting to see him not going for the submissions quite as much as he usually does. But overall, it was very good ground and pound. Very, very good, very good timing of the ground and pound. He opened up a cut late in round 2, which definitely altered the outcome of Vieira being able to defend off the bottom. with the blood pouring into his eyes and all that comes along with being cut. But great win for Spivak. I don't know if that would put him among the ranked individuals in the heavyweight division, but we shall see what happens in the future for Spivak. All right, moving down the card, we had Aiemann Zahabi defeating Drako Rodriguez by knockout in round number 1. Now, this was a back and forth fight. This was a back and forth fight going kind of in the way of Rodriguez, but Zahabi was being very patient, timing his shots correctly, and he hit Rodriguez with a vicious 1-2 that put him on the canvas, ground and pound, finishing the fight. And what a victory for the younger brother of legendary coach Firas Zahabi. Moving on to the next one. Now we had an octagon debut for Casey O'Neill in the next fight, and what a debut this was. Taking on very tough Shana Dobson. This was a very tough fight for her in her debut, but she really took the debut and she ran with it. Coming in undefeated with 5-0, she put it on Dobson. She was very aggressive from the get-go of the bell, and she was able to get the takedown, very dominant on top with the takedown. And Dobson was landing good shots in round 1 until O'Neill was able to get the takedown, land vicious ground and pound, trying to go for the submission. Dobson was able to defend pretty well, but overall, very great octagon debut for Casey O'Neill. She now is still undefeated, 6-0, and I believe, let me pull up the rankings. Let me pull up the rankings real quick, but I believe Dobson was ranked. And so for an undefeated fighter in her octagon debut to take out a ranked fighter would put her in the rankings. And let's see what that would do for her. Let's see now. Anybody that's joined, how's it going? Hit the like if you wish. I will give you access to more of my content once it comes out. Let's see here. So, we had it does not look like Dobson was ranked. So yes, it does not look like Dobson was ranked And so therefore it doesn't look like she would be put into the rankings in her debut. Okay. Next up on the list. Apologize for the dead air. All right, Julian Erosa defeating Nate Landwehr in 56 seconds of round number 1. Now, this 56 seconds was insane. Now, Erosa came out, both of them came out very aggressive. Erosa got put down early and was able to get back up and fight back, defend well, and was able to get Landwehr backed up and then ended up hitting him with a vicious flying knee, similar to the knee Masvidal hit Ben Askren with. He faked the left knee, hit the right knee, and it put Landwehr down. I don't know if it necessarily put him out, but the referee was right there. And he stopped the fight. Now, Landwehr dropped hard. And so, like I said, whether or not he was out or not, I don't think it really matters. The referee are there to save the fighters. And, great stoppage by the referee to prevent further damage. We will talk about this later, but in the main event, we had a vicious knockout and one of the more scary knockouts that I've seen. But we will get into that shortly. All right. Moving on. Still working on the preliminary card right now. We had John Castaneda defeating Eddie Wineland in 4:44 of round number 1. Now, Eddie Wineland, being the veteran that he is, was being very patient, seeing what this young kid, John Castaneda, was going to do. But, with these older veterans, I don't know if it's necessarily that they're getting chinny, but I don't know. Eddie Wineland, after the stoppage, he was very upset about the stoppage, but it was a very good stoppage by the referee. John Castaneda was all over Eddie Wineland, and it wasn't looking good. The position that he was in, he had him up against the fence. The position he was in, it was not going to change. I don't see anything anywhere that he would have been able, to fight back, change position, or anything like that. Very good win by John Castaneda, defeating a legend, former WEC champion Eddie Wineland. And we will have to see what that does for John Castaneda in the future. Wineland wasn't ranked, and so that doesn't move him up in the rankings. So we'll have to see what that does in the future. All right, moving on to the feature prelim of the card. We had Jared Flash Gordon defeating Danny Chavez by decision, 29-28, 30-27, and 30-27. Now, this was I'm just going to kind of say what it is. It was kind of a boring fight. Jared Gordon, it was kind of a one-sided fight. He was, he was doing the takedowns, riding against the fence, and there wasn't really much to talk about. But there's really not much to talk about that. Great win by Jared Gordon, coming off of his last win out in Fight Island. This is going to do we'll just have to see. We'll have to see what that does for him next. He did miss weight, and so I don't know if that will force him to have to try to go up to lightweight or whatnot. But we'll have to see. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to move on to the main card. Now, this main card was it was a great main card. A couple highlights coming into this main card. One of the hot prospects in the heavyweight division, Tom Aspinall, was took on former heavyweight champion Andrei the Pitbull Arlovski in the feature bout of the main card. Now, Tom Aspinall, being a heavyweight, moves like a middleweight, and I had big things for Tom Aspinall coming into this fight. I didn't know. I didn't quite know that Andrei Arlovski was going to be so damn tough. I don't know. Some of these vets, the older they get, it seems like their chin gets better. Some of these older vets. I mean, Alistair Overeem, it seems that his chin has kind of recovered. Not similar, but his chin has kind of recovered in his later years. Same going with Andrei Arlovski. Andrei Arlovski, he was starting to get really chinny toward the back end of his career. He was starting to get knocked out. He was starting to get, just beaten up. Everybody was starting to talk about how it was starting to potentially be toward the end of his fight career. And then he was starting to turn it around. He changed gyms, and it was starting to look good for him. And when they matched him up with Tom Aspinall, it was not going to be good for Arlovski. Tom Aspinall is very fast. He moves like a middleweight, being a heavyweight, weighing in at about 240 something-ish pounds. He moves like a middleweight, super fast. And now that brings us to the fight. Tom Aspinall, he came in and he looked good. He was quick on his feet. And I don't know if he was quite trying to wait for the perfect shot. But with these heavyweights, you really can't mess around, and you can't dance around, because there's 265 pounds in the cage. They've got 4-ounce gloves on, and one mistake and you can put your lights out. And we will be talking about that here shortly. But with that being said, Tom Aspinall, he wasn't able to get it done by knockout like his first two performances in the octagon. But what a blitz he did coming out in round number 2. So in round number 1, he was able to connect with Arlovski, and Arlovski didn't go down. And Arlovski hit Aspinall with some very hard, clean shots, and I was very worried for Aspinall. But coming out in round number 2, Aspinall blitzed Arlovski, blitzed him with a blast double leg right up against the cage. And as Arlovski turned to try to get up Tom Aspinall hopped on his back and got the choke in very quickly. And it was over very quickly in round number 2. 1 minute and 9 seconds of round number 2 with a rear naked choke submission win by Tom Aspinall. Now that puts him 3-0 in the UFC's heavyweight division. And he has, so far, he has a 100% finish rate. And so we'll have to see what's next for him. I believe, give me one quick second. All right. I apologize about that. All right. So looking at the rankings. Let's see. Looking at the rankings, it didn't look like Arlovski was ranked. But a couple of the other heavyweights, or at least the other heavyweight, one of the other heavyweights on this main card, didn't pick up the win. So he was looking at trying to get a fight with Aleksei Oleinik if he got the win. Unfortunately, he did not. And so we will have to see what's next for Tom Aspinall. All right. How's it going, everybody? Everybody that's out there that has joined since. Hope you guys are all doing good. If anybody wants to join in to talk some fights, shoot me a message, comment down here, and we can try to get that set up. All right. Moving on, we had Phil Hawes defeating Nassourdine Imavov by majority decision, 29-28, 29-28, and 28-28. It was a back and forth. You know, obviously Phil Hawes pulling out the majority decision. Very close fight, back and forth. But Phil Hawes was doing a lot of cage work, having Imavov pressed up against the fence. Kind of a boring fight. Not necessarily boring, but there was a lot of cage work. It was very close on the feet, but because of the cage control, I would see how they gave it to Phil Hawes. All right, moving down the card. You know, we had Derrick Minner defeating a very tough Charles Rosa by decision 30-26, 30-27, and 29-27. And what I have to say about this fight is Derrick Minner is very tough. This was a very ground-controlled fight. There was a lot of time spent on the ground. Minner was very dominant. He was just going submission after submission after submission. Excuse me. But Charles Rosa tried to hang in there as best he could, but unfortunately, it was just not enough. All right, moving on to the co-main event. We had Yana Kunitskaya, number 7th rank, defeating number 6th rank Ketlen Vieira by decision, 29-28, 29-28, and 29-28, all across the board. Now, this was a very strange fight. for the casual fan, because you're looking at it and Kunitskaya was landing lots and lots of strikes, but the ground control time was clearly going for Vieira. Now, the numbers here. Let's see if I can't get this pulled up here. So, if you look here, so if you look here, we had Kunitskaya. There was 0 knockdowns in the fight. There was 215 strikes thrown. Sorry, 215 strikes landed out of 247. And we only had 47 significant strikes land to Vieira's 7. But we had 3 takedowns on the side of Vieira to 0 for Kunitskaya. But the ground control time for Vieira was over 7 minutes. But the ground control ability, the submission attempts, it just wasn't there. And if you look at the strikes, the significant strikes, 47 to 7, she outstruck her by 40 strikes. Doesn't matter the takedowns, because with the strikes coming in, the takedowns happened. Yes, they had 3 of 8 takedowns, but the submission attempts weren't there. She was never in any danger. She was never in any danger on the feet. She was never in any danger on the ground. The only time that there was any danger was when Kunitskaya had Vieira going backwards. Very good performance by Kunitskaya, with her being ranked number 7. With her being ranked number 7 in the bantamweight division. Vieira was ranked 6, so they'll most likely flip-flop. It looks like we have Irene Aldana at number 4, Aspen Ladd at number 3, Holly Holm at number 2, and Germaine Durandamy sitting at number 1. Now, if I'm correct, give me 1 second to pull this up. I believe Holly Holmes, one of her fights was just announced. Yes. So it looks like here, coming up here soon, reporting by Brad Okamoto just yesterday. We have Holm that 8. A non. I don't. I don't understand why they would label it as a non-title bout when there's clearly a champion at bantamweight in the women's division. So why they would just say it's a non-title fight, I don't know. But anyway, apologize for the technical difficulties. For some reason, my internet connection is kind of trippy tonight. Anyway, we have Holly Holmes to take on Julian at UFC Fight Night on May 8th. And so for the win for Kunitskaya, let's see. Juliana Pena is ranked number 5. We have Holly Holm number 2. So maybe Yana Kunitskaya could take on a Irene Aldana or an Aspen Ladd, maybe a Jermaine Durandamy. I don't know if they would put her all the way up to number 1, but we'll just have to wait and see. All right, moving on to the main event. Let's talk about the Black Beast, Derrick Lewis. Number 4 ranked Derrick Lewis knocked out Curtis Blaydes by vicious KO in round number 2. So now there was no secret coming into this fight that Curtis Blaydes was going to try to take down Derrick Lewis. He made that very clear coming into this fight. Derrick Lewis holding the record currently for the most knockouts in the heavyweight division. Now with this win, this actually tied him for the most knockouts in UFC history, no matter the weight class, with 12s. He has 12 knockouts on his record. Now, let's go here and we'll see. Let's go see what current records. All right, so currently this is crazy. This can't be. Got you. Okay. Perfect. Okay, so right now he was tied for most knockouts. I don't quite understand this page. So this page is the statleaders.ufc.com, and we're going to be looking at the record book for the heavyweight division. Okay, so this puts Derrick Lewis had 11 knockouts coming into this fight, and that put him at 12 tonight. So that would tie him for on the broadcast, they said that it would tie him for most knockouts, period, with 12. But according to this page, that is not correct. Give me 1 second. So it looks like here it says knockout TKO wins would be, so it looks like with that record, he has the most knockouts in UFC, period. No matter the weight class, Derrick Lewis did with this win tonight. So it looks like we're going to be seeing him on more record books if he continues to knock people out. All right. What a great card, everybody. I had a great time. Great night of fights. Next week, we have fights Saturday night. I will be doing a post show for them after the fights, and I hope to see you guys there. Thank you for joining me, everybody. And until next time, I say thank you.